Wellness Wednesday. Dr. Kevin is here with the Bryant Wellness Institutes of Acadiana. So what you got cooking for us today?
Well, I have such a big day for us today. I've been working on this new initiative for months and putting together probably one of the most important programs that we've ever launched in the 6+ years we've been doing the show now. And we're beginning a new initiative today on diabetes. And guys, listen, diabetes is a very crippling, disabling thing. And you know, I have to tell you that there are some real breakthroughs just right around the corner happening with understanding diabetes. You know, the general accepted treatment for diabetes hasn't changed in decades. And so there are some real amazing things happening at a very, very rapid pace to discover what is going on with this. And so, but right off the bat, I have to say this. The number one problem when talking to people about their diabetes or talking to people that have diabetes, people think that if they're managing their blood sugar numbers with medicine, then they're okay and they don't need to do anything. Well, my numbers are okay. You know, my metformin's working. But if you think that that's fixing you because it's forcing your blood sugars into this box that you call normal and that's all you're doing, then you're setting yourself up for a really bad situation down the road. You're missing a really big part. And we're going to talk about that today. Because no one dies from diabetes or high blood sugar. They suffer from the complications of diabetes. They lose limbs, you know, diabetic amputations. They lose their eyesight. That's the number one cause of blindness. It's the leading cause of neuropathy. And there's a lot of connections being made right now between diabetes and Alzheimer's. Diabetics have a 150% greater chance of developing dementia or Alzheimer's. They're actually starting to call this diabetes of the brain because Alzheimer's is so connected to the way your body processes insulin and processes sugar and leptin. So those are the things that happen. So if you're just sort of managing your numbers and that's all you're doing, that is a very, very dangerous sort of trap to fall into. Because blood sugar being off is not what causes these conditions. So patients get so excited if they're keeping their blood sugar in this box and they feel like everything is okay. But all of the complications from diabetes occur not because of blood sugar levels, but because of insulin being very high, and that's toxic to humans. And so diabetes is an insulin problem, not a blood sugar problem. So diabetics get so focused on what's your numbers, and you even hear the commercials, you know, what is your numbers today, and what's your A1C? That's the whole focus of the healthcare is what is your blood sugar numbers. But if your blood sugar is normal, but your insulin is 5 times normal, then you are in real trouble, and you wouldn't even know it because you're focused on blood sugar and not focused on insulin. So insulin is what creates a lot of the complications, not having too much blood sugar. So we're focused on the wrong thing. So controlling your blood sugar is not the whole picture. And you know, many times when I ask diabetics, well, what's your insulin running? They've never even heard of that. Like they've never had that checked. They've never even heard of this. And so if your blood sugar levels are high and you take metformin is thought to simply pump out more insulin in your body, which forces your blood sugar numbers down. And that's good if you're focusing on blood sugar numbers. But now you have all this extra insulin, and that can create a problem as well. So just focusing on blood sugar numbers is not the whole picture whenever it comes to diabetes, because like I said, it's not a blood sugar problem. It is an insulin problem. And so diabetics have a problem with the way their body processes insulin. And if all you do is track your blood sugar, then you're missing a really, really important point here. So what we're going to do whenever we get back from break, we're going to talk about this a little more. And I'm going to tell you about another hormone that actually drives this whole process. And I promise you've never heard of this, but it's probably the most important hormone you can look at in someone with diabetes. It's called leptin. Leptin is what drives this whole thing. So stay tuned to find out about this unknown hormone. And then at the end of the show, we're going to tell you about a program that we're having next Thursday where we're going to sit down and we're going to spend an hour educating the public on this, exactly what's going on in your body. So stay tuned right after the show. We're going to talk about leptin, and then we'll tell you about the program.
Doc Sin talking about diabetes.
Yeah, so if you ask someone with diabetes, what's your insulin and leptin levels showing, they really have no idea. You know, they've never even really heard of this before, but leptin is probably the most important hormone that no one has ever heard of. Leptin is the hormone that controls and drives insulin production. Now, interestingly enough, it also is leptin and insulin are the number 1 and 2 hormones that control fat and weight storage. So those are also vitally important hormones to know for our weight loss programs, is that what is leptin and insulin doing, because those hormones signals fat storage, they signal glucose metabolism and all that. So it's very, very important. Now, leptin is what drives and governs insulin and the way it's managed in the body. So since diabetes is an insulin problem, somebody should take a look at all of this and see what the balance of these things are. And why we would know what these two hormones are doing, I'll never understand that. But the levels of these hormones and what they're doing gives us vital information about what's going on at a cellular level. In other words, what are the cells doing? Why aren't they doing what they're supposed to do? And that's what it really takes to kind of get to the bottom of this, is why aren't the cells functioning the way they're designed to function? And what's happening with insulin and leptin is very, very important to know whenever you're dealing with someone that has diabetes, not just blood sugar. So for those out there wanting to know more about how to keep from having some of these terrible effects from long-term diabetes, we have this new program that we're launching next Thursday night. It's called Functional Medicine Effects on Diabetes and Blood Sugar. So if you have diabetes, you really should go. And even if you think you're managing it fine and everything's good and your medicine's keeping your blood sugar levels normal, you really want to come find out that there's a little more to it than that. And even if you think you might be having pre-diabetes, there's millions and millions of people that have pre-diabetes that they don't know it. Maybe they get tired after they eat, maybe they get nauseous, or they get a little lightheaded. All of those are indications that maybe they're tired throughout the day. All those are indications that you may be developing some blood sugar problems or some sort of a pre-diabetes type problems. And as a side note, there's one other condition that I just feel like that I need to mention today. It's called metabolic syndrome. If any of you out there already have metabolic syndrome, you really, really need to take a look at what we can do to try to help you with this, because this is somebody with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, blood sugar problems, and belly fat. So if you have those 4 combination of things
ticking
together,
time bomb.
That's exactly what we call it, ticking time bomb. Yeah, we actually call it that, in our circles. That's what it is. That person is headed in a really, really dangerous situation. So, if you have metabolic syndrome, you definitely want to come to this for sure. But the program is going to be next Thursday night at 7 o'clock at the Hilton Garden. You can call my office and register at 837-7174, and you can call the New Iberia office. They're going to have one over there as well at 367-2567. But it's funny. I talk to folks with chronic diseases like diabetes and autoimmune diseases and Hashimoto's disease and all these diseases all the time. And the one thing that I always find so strange is that people don't take the time to educate themselves on what they have. I've always found that so unusual. Like if somebody told me I had XYZ syndrome, I would want to know everything there is to know about it. I would at least do a Google search, to see what do I have? What's my body doing? Most people with diabetes don't even know what that means. Like they don't know what the cells are doing. They don't know why their body is malfunctioning. They've never really learned that. And guys, listen, if you have a chronic disease, you really need to educate yourself on it. You need to find out all you can about it. So, and if there's people out there that are able to help you with it. So the way people get in a really disabling situation is not taking action for themselves to take their own health as a priority. You can't wait on this healthcare system to bail us out anymore. It's just not like it used to be. It's a disaster right now, and I don't know. I have hopes that it looks like it's going to get better. But if you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, you really should come to see this new research and what's going on inside your body. And you will leave with the best understanding of what your body is doing and what can be done about it than you've ever had. So I'm real excited. There's so many people out there with diabetes, and so many of them are headed towards a situation they don't even realize where they're headed if they don't take action to fix this thing. So
does that also include people who are hypoglycemic?
Mm-hmm. We're going to have a whole section on that.
Okay. Awesome.
That's still a problem with your insulin regulation.
Exactly.
And all these
So it's just not high. High.
No.
It's also low.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Exactly. Good point. Yeah. Anything. And even type 1 diabetics, That's an autoimmune.
Now, what does that mean?
Type 1 is an autoimmune. That means that your body is attacking the cells that produce insulin in your body. So if you have type 1 diabetes, I want you to come too, because we have a whole section we're going to talk about with type 1, because that's not a diabetes problem. That's an autoimmune problem. Your immune system is attacking your own body. And so we're going to have a whole section on that and what's going on with that, and dive into that just a little bit on the type 1 diabetes. So you can call now and register. We do have limited space, and I can promise you this one's going to fill up very quickly. So you can call 837-7174 to reserve your seat. If you have a spouse that has diabetes or pre-diabetes, try to get them to come. It's 837-7174. You know, sometimes as guys, we need a little bit of encouragement.
Yep.
And that encouragement is usually get in the car. You're going, So in the New Iberia location, it's 367-2567. That's 367-2567 in New Iberia. So, and you can get both of those numbers on our Facebook page. But guys, listen, diabetes is rampant. We have it more than almost any area in the country. And so we really need to do something to try to educate people and show them how they can, take care of some of this stuff.
I'd like to add my little 2 cents.
Oh,
All
good.
of that so you don't die.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Bryant Wellness Institutes, you can check them out on Facebook. Dr. Kevin, Wellness Wednesday. Thank you, Doc.
Thanks, guys.